Okay, guys, welcome to another weekly market review session. Okay, let's get straight into it. So again, we current day today is 28th November. Okay, we are approaching the end of November to the start of December. Final month already. Okay, time really flies. Okay, again, markets have been pulling back up, and let's see how we end off the year. Okay, so right now I'm on my S&P 500 chart. Okay, and I'm going to be looking at the 1 hour chart, right? The hourly chart. Now, focus on my yellow line over here. Okay, so how has SPY or the overall market been? So SPY is what we use as our benchmark, as our index, and you can see very, very clearly, okay, that SPY has been rallying ever since the end of October, okay, and it's been a pretty steep rally, close to about 10%. Okay, so if I take the entire rally, I bring out my ruler over here, I start from the bottom, I go all the way to the top here, you can see, right, 11.51%, so around 10% for this rally so far. Okay, very parabolic movement. So what do I expect for the month of December? Now, number one, I want you guys to observe this. You can see number one, there's a gap here, second gap here, and a third gap here. Okay, so this has been a parabolic movement. It's been a gap up movement. And at the same time, it also broke my trend line. Okay, so if you look at my orange line here, guys, okay, you can see previously this was a trend line for the resistance. Okay, so here was the peak, tried to break, it couldn't. And then the third one here, it couldn't. Finally, it managed to break, came down for a short retest, and then it gapped up and we moved up some more. Okay, so again, we broke this, we had the major movement. Okay, and you can see very clear 3 gaps. So in my opinion, for the month of December, don't expect another like 10% movement. All right, for the month of November, you saw 11.51%. It's not going to happen for December. Okay, how a normal movement works, it moves in a wave pattern. Okay, so after a parabolic move like this, it needs to go sideways or even pull back a little in order to continue in the upwards direction. Okay, so pullbacks, moving sideways, consolidation, this is normal. It is how the markets move. It's how it should move. All right, this is healthy. Okay, now on the second hand, so first I've told you guys the gap. Second, we broke our trend line. Okay, parabolic movement. Now the third thing, if we go on my daily chart, okay, on my daily chart, you can see from 2022 January, July, and now where we are at. We are in a bit of a resistance. Okay, so you can see here, this was the highest point before the bear market last year. In July, we hit a peak again. Then we started coming down. We had this pullback and minor correction. And now we are at a resistance again. All right. So I'm not expecting the markets to rally straight away. What I do expect for the month of December is maybe some pullback, okay, some sideways movement, and then if it decides to continue up, then go up. All right. So for those of you who have been in positions, like you have certain long positions, you have been doing position trading for yourself, swing trades as well, do spend this time to start taking your profits off the table. All right, because the markets may consolidate, may have a pullback before it finds its next direction. Okay, again, you don't want to not secure your profits and then later market pulls back or even crashes. All right, I highly doubt it will crash, but you don't want to be regretful when profits are on the table and you do not take it. Okay, so if you have positions in place already profitable, please take your profits for yourself. Okay, at these levels, I wouldn't be buying stocks for long-term investments as well. Market, in my opinion, overextended. I think very clear, you can see the 3 gaps over here. Okay, overextended parabolic movement. I wouldn't be entering for any long-term investments. Okay, when the market pulled back from July to October, all these periods was time to actually load up for yourself. So if you had loaded up on stocks or investments for the long term as well, those would be up by a little bit. Okay, and then for those who did your position and swing trades, take your profits at this point of time. Okay, so again, I want to also share another statistic on why, again, I believe that we'll have a pullback or maybe sideways and not a crash. Okay, if you look at this article, so you can go on Yahoo Finance, find this article about the Magnificent 7 stocks. And what are the Magnificent 7 stocks? It's very simple. Okay, let me just zoom in a bit more. It is your Meta, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, Google, Tesla, and Nvidia. All right, you can see over here. And this research was by Goldman Sachs, and you can see these stocks alone have or are up 71%. Okay, the S&P 500 up about 19%, and the remaining 493 companies in the S&P 500 is only up about 6%. So it shows you very, very clearly that these 7 stocks are the ones that have a bit more weightage and thus have been pulling the S&P 500. Okay, so the likelihood that these stocks will just crash, I don't think so. Okay, but maybe pull back, sideways movement. So S&P 500 will also have that sideways movement as well. Okay, so this is one statistic I want to show you. Now, the second statistic is this. Okay, so let me stop my share. Okay. Okay, so you can see this screen. This is my statistics for Thanksgiving. Okay, so from Tuesday before Thanksgiving, okay, so this was last week. Last Thursday and Friday was Thanksgiving in the States, all the way to second day New Year. So this is the data, okay, that they've taken for the significant number of years. All right, and I just want you guys to look at the data that from that time, that means last week, Thursday or Friday, all the way to the second day of New Year, that means January 2nd, 2024, okay, typically the average, okay, for S&P 500 is 2.6%. So this is why I said, even though you saw my ruler and measurement just now, we moved up about 10%, don't expect the same thing to happen in December, okay? The average so far for all these years have been 2.6%. On a up year, that's what it typically does. Okay, so again, this is why I said I expect sideways movement, it coming a bit down before it finds its next direction. Okay, so now because we're at a resistance, okay, you can see yesterday's movement, okay, Monday's movement, again slow day, nothing much. We are at our resistance level. There's been consolidation here. Don't be surprised if there's a bit of a pullback down, okay? And go sideways before it finds its next direction, okay? Now, the last thing I want to share with all of you is this. The VIX, okay? So the VIX, very, very simply, again, this is what we call the volatility index. And typically, this moves inverse to the markets. Okay, so if S&P 500 is going up, VIX is typically going down because less volatility, people are more confident of the markets. If things are coming down, the markets are pulling back, the VIX will spike because there's more volatility, more fear in the markets. Okay, so this is also known as the fear and greed index by some individuals. So if you can see, the VIX has been dropping steadily, nicely. Okay, and this is a very steep trend line, but if I draw, you can see it's been dropping a very steep trend line. If it breaks my trend line, okay, so it's around 13, 14, it breaks, holds comfortably and continues up, then that will signify that there's pullback, there's volatility in the markets, okay, things will move sideways or come down before it finds its movement. So look out for the VIX as well. Yesterday's movement tried to go up, but came back down. So continue to observe. This is the time to be taking profits on your swings or position trades for yourself. If you're doing any trades, again, day trades or one-day swings, those are okay, all right? But I don't want to be in any very, very long positions and holding for a significant period of time. Coming to the end of the year, things slow down a bit, all right? Moving into Thanksgiving and Christmas might not have as much volume in the market. Okay, so again, this is what I will look out for in the markets. I'm also not going to short the market, okay, because I don't go against the trend. Trend is our friend. And again, you can see broke out very comfortably, okay. Now it's just testing the resistance, okay. Hasn't given us confirmation it's coming down or nothing like that, all right. The overall trend is still upwards. So again, I'm not going to do any shorting, just taking profit, sitting on the sidelines, maybe a couple of day trades, 1 day swings. That's about it. Okay, no investments or going in for long-term investments because again, it's at a high point at this point of time. All right, so this is it for this week's weekly market review session. I hope you guys found this helpful. So again, take care, stay safe, and I will see you next week for the next one.